it's Emmy, and I'm back today to talk about making ugly sketchbook spreads pretty. And so last week we made some sketchbook spreads that were just for warm-ups. So I did some stripes, I painted a background, did some swatching, and some color mixing. Some of the other ones, they're full spreads on themselves. I mean, that's pretty enough. That one might be able to turn into something, but this one and this one, they look pretty good on their own, so we're gonna leave them. And if you're interested in knowing what I'm talking about, go back and check out my last video on watercolor warm-ups. So before we get started, I do want to give a caveat. I don't think every sketchbook spread needs to be beautiful. I just thought this would be a fun exercise to put on video. I like to use my sketchbook for experimenting and learning, and I'm hoping to start turning it more into reference for bigger, larger works. So if you're starting out and you don't have a beautiful sketchbook page to page to page, it's okay. Sketchbooks are for playing and experimenting, so just have fun with it. So today we are going to be playing with these. I did some pre-thinking on these before I got started, but I didn't really like sketch it out or anything, so they might still turn out ugly. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna start with the stripe page, and before we get started, I'm gonna just address what I like and what I don't like, because that's what a sketchbook is for, is figuring out what you like and what you don't like and what you can use later on. So I mean, it's stripes, so there's not a lot to go on. I do like using stripes in my work though, and I have been using the stripes a lot in my daily illustrations. So what I do like are the kind of wobbly lines that I got from going really fast with a thin brush. And that's kind of my favorite part. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna put it on time lapse for every video so that this isn't 3 hours long. So for this one, I will be drawing flowers with a marker. I'm using a Sharpie brush permanent marker. It's kind of short and fat and has a big brush tip. And I'm gonna be drawing flowers on here and then covering in the background so that you can see bits of the stripes peeking through. All right, so let's get started. Alright, so this is how this turned out. There's parts of it I like and there's parts of it I don't like. I think the stripes in the background are kind of weird. I think if it was more like a blurry, kind of blobby shapes in the background, it would be cooler. I do like the graphic aspect of it. I hate the way this pen smells. I've used another one that's similar, but it's almost out of ink. This one smells horrible, so maybe don't use it with the windows shut. So yeah, that's that one, and I think it's more interesting than what it was, so that's a win. For my next one, I have this green background, and I'm going to be using gouache to paint a fish. And so I'm gonna start with the acrylic gouache to paint the body of the fish, and then I'm going to move to my regular gouache to paint the details of the fish. And the reason why I'm doing this is because watercolor will reactivate and acrylic gouache will not. So I'm going to paint the base with this so it won't reactivate, and then have some fun with my gouache, which I need to experiment with for my next videos anyways. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with that. I'm putting you back on time lapse. Okay, and this is how the fish turned out. I didn't think it was going to go very well when I drew it very wonky. I don't normally sketch with a pen, but I wanted you to be able to see it on the camera. I normally use this guy. It's a Prismacolor Color Erase pencil. I use the light blue or red one. I just find that it can be covered up very easily, unlike like a normal pencil, which can smudge. These do not smudge, so I like them a lot. But I drew it out. It went a little wonky, and I just went with it, and I kind of like the sketchy lines around it. And then the other problem I ran into is that I didn't realize that regular gouache, it doesn't go over acrylic gouache the best, but it went over enough, and it created like a weird texture, which works pretty good for a fish. So I just went with it. I don't necessarily love the background, but I do like how the fish turned out. So for this page, I'm going to do a similar concept to the first page where I drew on top of it, but first I'm going to add more color to it so that there's not white spots. And then I'm going to paint over it with an acrylic paint. So this is Titan Mars Pale, and the important part about this is that it's good quality paint, so it's nice and thick and it's pretty opaque, and because it's a pastel color, it has a lot of white in it, which means it'll cover well. I've done this with other things. I've never done it with watercolor though, so maybe I'll grab my ink instead to put in the background. And I'm just kind of going for like a blobby look, and then I will paint over it, leaving gaps for objects. I think I'm gonna do letters. So I'm stopping here to just say I kind of love it like this. It's very abstract, and I love just how adding a background to these random shapes make them seem purposeful. I just did it really messy. So I use acrylic ink, and I have Liquitex and the Daler Brownie FW, and I like both of these. And what I like about them is that they do not re-wet with water. So if you go over them, it doesn't reactivate. And I absolutely love the fluorescent pink. It's my favorite color to use. I really love it. Weirdly enough, mixed with this olive green, it makes like a weird salmon color, and it needs to be shaken when you use it because it separates and sits at the bottom. But yeah, so it makes this beautiful kind of salmon-y color, and it's just beautiful. All right, I'm gonna let this dry, and I am gonna add paint on top. going to add a few final touches because some of the letters get lost. There's not enough contrast. I kind of wish I would have picked a blue instead, but I love the way the colors peek through. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a pen and kind of just draw around it. Maybe even draw a couple times. Just make it kind of sketchy. That is one thing that I really like about this paint is it's not completely matte, but it is easy to draw on and use colored pencils over, and even Posca works really well over it, where I don't find the same thing with like Liquitex even. It's a little too shiny. So I'm not going completely every line, and I'll just draw little bits here and there too. I don't think this is my normal pen that I use. Pretty sure it's downstairs in my sketch bag. All right. There it is. It's a lot nicer looking than just a page of weird swatches. It seems more intentional. So for this page, we have the color mixing swatches. And I think what we're gonna do here is add just more rectangles, but kind of random rectangles of color. So I'll kind of draw it in. I'm kind of inspired by quilts lately. But I like kind of wonky, weird shapes. And so I don't want anything perfect, even though these are roughly the same size. I kind of want just kind of weird sizes, maybe some little bitty ones in there. And then we're gonna fill these other shapes with color. And because it's pretty heavy on pink and red, I'm probably gonna go a little heavier on other colors, but I do still have some pink ink left over, so I'm probably gonna use that too. And so I'm just kind of sketching out where these colors will go. I'm trying not to let the lines line up too well so that it's more interesting. All right, I'm gonna put you back on time lapse. this is how it turned out. It could just be a background for another painting, or you can leave it as is. I like to look at stuff like this and learn from it. What do I like? What do I not like? I don't love a hodgepodge of colors. I kind of like a tighter color palette for the most part, but I do think it's fun. I do like the graphic nature of it and the imperfect lines of it. So that's fun. And I might come back and add something on top of it, but I probably won't. I usually don't revisit my sketchbook pages to fix them unless they're especially horrible, you know. So that's probably going to be it for today. It's just taken forever for the paint to dry, and so this video has taken me several hours, even though it probably is just a few minutes for you. So I'm going to finish this today and be done. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And be sure to come back so that you can see my video on making a gouache palette. And if you want to see my ugliest drawing ever and see me redo it, let me know, leave me a comment, and I will make that happen. Thanks.